big weekend coming up in Serie A. Saturday, Lecce taking on AC Milan, Juventus Cagliari, a team I always somehow say the wrong way. That one on the Golazo network at 12 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, Napoli taking on Empoli, also on the Golazo network. Fiorentina, Bologna, Sunday 9 a.m. Eastern. Also Sunday, Udinese and Atalanta. And then the big one, Lazio, Roma. Coverage beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern ahead of a 12 p.m. kickoff. And Inter Milan taking on Frosinone, also later on Sunday on the Golazo network. And this Rome Derby, you guys, already getting kind of heated. I'm like, it's cold in here, but whew. Jose Mourinho, Maurizio Sarri. Words have been exchanged.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. So they might shut the lights off on on the other team. I mean, this is what you want out of a Jose Mourinho derby. You want the Jose Mourinho show, you know? Yeah.
So, and sorry, he said Roma's Europa League match against Slavia Prague was like a friendly. So that was one way to put it.
And what did Jose Mourinho say
let's
in
take
response?
Let's take a listen. We've got that.
Uno si deve sentire offeso con le sue dichiarazioni è la gente di Slavia, non io. Il modo come il mister ha parlato è come per dire che Slavia è una squadra senza qualità. Io rispetto sempre i miei avversari, ho detto già che Slavia è un'ottima squadra e magari quello che fa la differenza fra la storia di allenatori e di giocatori è il modo di pensare le partite, magari la differenza fra un allenatore che ha vinto 26 titoli e un altro che ha vinto pochi è esattamente questa mentalità di che ogni partita è una partita serie da giocare e che non ci sono amichevoli.
So Jose Mourinho giving the respect to the opponent, and then
he don't miss.
Oh, by the way,
no, he doesn't.
He don't
these
miss.
Titles. He's
Go ahead.
His statement was made.
Yeah, he's pulling out the receipts. He's pulling out the CV. Look, this is what a derby's all
How many
about.
Premier League titles?
Yeah, what was that last one he did?
Three Premier League titles. I have more Premier League titles than all other managers combined. And what did he say at the end? He said, respect.
Yeah.
Respect. Mourinho knows how to play this game, obviously. And I like how he manipulated what Sarri was saying to it be offensive towards Slavia Prague, who played a sensational game, by the way. We didn't touch upon that. That was another big result in the Europa League. Mm-hmm. Mind you, Lazio's coming off of an important win as well against Feyenoord, with Ciro Immobile finally getting going. They've got no Zaccagni, who got injured, by the way, in that game, so they might not risk him, one of the wingers. And the thing with Lazio is that they haven't been convincing over a decent amount of time, over an extended period this season. And I do feel like when you take out one of their brains, one of the people that pulls the strings for Lazio, like a Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and suddenly he's not there anymore, he hasn't been properly replaced. So that's where I think Lazio has been struggling this season. And Roma, on the other hand, look, they lost. They've been finding ways to win. Yeah. So it should be a really fine derby, and that loss against Slavia Prague maybe just as anecdotal in the streak of games that they've been able to put together with victories.
Lazio have only scored 13 goals this season in La Liga. Serie A. So that gives you an idea of 13 goals for and also 13 goals against. So defensively, they are pretty strong. They just haven't found answers going forward. And for Roma, I think they had a slow start, and I think a lot had to do with Dybala being injured, and now you're trying to get him going again. So right now for Roma, I think it's important that they just get a result in this game. And Lazio, I think they've turned the corner. The win against Atalanta when they win 3-2, I think that was the big win to kind of get them moving forward. So it's funny because they lose to Slavia Prague, Roma, and Lazio, they win against Feyenoord in the Champions League. So in Europe, midweek, you have two teams who feel in almost different modes because Roma, they're going to go through in their group. And I think for Lazio, that group is completely open and it's too uncertain.
Yeah, as they were coming into those games midweek in opposite forms. Roma was winning and they lost. Lazio was unconvincing and they won. And right at the other end of that, they have a derby where I feel like all of this precedent, it almost doesn't matter. It's a derby at the end of the day.
Well, and a little bulletin board material now for Roma.
But I think both of these clubs will think of themselves as clubs that should be in Europe. They're sitting in 7th and 10th respectively. You're going to want to win. You're especially going to want to win this for the fans who have seen an uneven season. When I look at Lazio, I'm thinking of a Luis Alberto who's doubtful for the match, someone who's essential to their attack. He's got the highest XG on the team, which should be your striker.
Alex G. Guerreros.
Come on, Alex G. Guerreros. And when you look at a team like Roma, I think we've talked about this, and you mentioned a great thing. It's about Dybala. But it's can Lukaku keep this going? Can he remain consistent? When I look at both teams, who do I think poses a bigger offensive threat? Who can strike when you least expect it? To me, it still remains Roma.
Well, it's crazy because Lukaku ended his streak of scoring consecutive matches.
In the Europa League.
Which was, what was it, 14?
14 games.
14.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, and
let's compare the two, Immobile and Lukaku, in terms of the strikers, because you're looking at Romelu Lukaku, who has 9 goals, the shots on target. I think he is, if you're looking at these two, I'm going to go with Lukaku because of his influence within Roma and the way that Roma's set up defensively and organized. It makes it, I think, an easier match for Lukaku to play because he is the exclamation point. Whereas I think Lazio, without Milinkovic-Savic, like Nico pointed to, he was the one pulling the strings. And so Immobile is, I think, a little bit lost, given that the person who was responsible for finding him is no longer there.
I would also say Ciro Immobile hasn't impressed in international play either. To me, he's lost his position as the main striker for Italy to a Scamacca, a country that was searching in Argentina for a striker. You know, a team like Tigre, a loaned out player from Boca.
But he's for sure going to play.
You need him because there's no depth.
Well, Tati Castellanos is the argument. He started at the weekend in the loss against Bologna, but I agree. You bring on a guy like Tati Castellanos, you put faith in an acquisition like Tati Castellanos. Is there a possibility that he trumps that order in the depth chart over Immobile eventually? I don't think just yet for the derby at the weekend.
Having watched Tati Castellano very closely play, he's a player that needs to feel comfortable.
Right.
And he needs a little bit of warm-up time with the first team. There was a few first matches when he played at striker, which he didn't naturally come in as a striker to NYCFC, where I was like...
He's on the wing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, no, this guy's not built for this position. You know, he reminds me of a South American striker where it's just like a spray and pray, which is like, I'm going to get a shot. It might be on goal. It might be in the stands. And then once he started to feel comfortable, and I think the wingers, and especially the number 10, Maxi Morales, figured out, oh, he is playing off the shoulder. He's just doing it in a different way that you're used to a prototypical number 9 to do it. Then he started getting service directly where he needed it, and now all of a sudden he was showing you his depth.
You know where legends are made? When Immobile when Immobile can't score, second half substitution, Tati comes on, gets the winner in his first
derby.
Derby de la Capitale.
When you score in a derby, it's a difference maker.
Absolutely.
You are forever a legend.
Yeah, that is what's on.
When Hammarby had their derby versus Blumenburger, you must have and you scored. You must have been remembered.
Okay, Shref, let's take